Where did I get these Darnold jerseys from? Let me tell you something. I had to dig these things out, but I dug them out because that is how strongly I feel about what I am about to say here. And that is this. Has anyone noticed that this guy has the Vikings at 9-2 at this point in the season? I think the Jets need to seriously consider bringing this guy back to the team at the end of the season. From what I understand, he is going to be a free agent. And how cool would it be to bring this guy back with him playing now at a much higher caliber, all right? I mean, this guy is now proving himself to be worthy of that number 3 pick that the Jets made him back when the Jets drafted this guy. To me, here is the situation. The Jets desperately need a quarterback, but not just a quarterback. The Jets need a franchise quarterback. When they drafted this guy, that was the intention. But to Darnold's defense, he had no team around him. He had no weapons, and he had the worst fucking coach. I mean, I can't even say Adam Gase's name without just becoming infuriated. It was torture. He was the worst fucking coach I had ever seen in my life. So you had Adam Gase coaching the team, and you had no team around him. No weapons, no nothing. So you combine all of that, and it is a recipe for disaster. And that is exactly what happened when Darnold was drafted by this team. So he really never had a fair shot here. He didn't have a shot here, period. He just got drafted into a disaster zone. And, him leaving the team and then finding his way through the league the way he did, it almost feels right to me. It feels like it was just supposed to go that way. But now, this guy, he has grown, man. He has progressed. He now looks like a legitimate quarterback in this league. I mean, you could just see the maturity on this guy now. I said it back in the beginning of the season when he was like 6-0. I said, good for this guy, man. He deserves it. He deserves this success that he's having. But did you think it was going to continue the way it has continued to where, they keep playing the way they're playing? This team is going to be going after the first fucking seed in the playoffs. This guy is doing some really amazing shit with the Vikings. And if you ask me, he is in the conversation for MVP this year. So you got to love that. And why do you have to love that? Because the Jets need a quarterback. And this guy, from what I understand, is going to be available at the end of this season. So here's what the Jets need to do. Now, I know that we don't have a GM now and we don't have a coach, but, Woody has shown to really have no problems lately pulling the trigger with some decisions around this fucking organization. So, Woody, you can easily just pull some more triggers when you bring the new regime in and say, look, this guy is available. He is playing extremely well. We need a franchise quarterback. This is who I want you to go after. Here's the money. Here's my fucking checkbook. And bring this guy back onto the team. I just think if you brought this guy back with the history of him being drafted by this team, it's his original team. You bring him back. You make him complete this crazy fucking circuit. And, I mean, how cool would it be for him to come back to the Jets as a revamped, mature quarterback who now has much better vision, much better understanding of the game, better mechanics, just overall a much better quarterback who has really proven that, maybe he wasn't a bust. Maybe this guy really was the real deal coming out of college, but it just, like I said, set of circumstances. He came to the wrong team at the wrong time with the wrong structure. And for his purpose of growing and maturing in this league as a quarterback and finding his own way, The best thing that happened to this guy was to leave the Jets and go find his way through the league for a little while. So look at where it has landed him. Look at where he is now. This guy has the Vikings at 9-2. He is playing extremely well. He has been the starter since day one of this season. He was supposed to be, I think he was going to be the backup. I think they were going to start McCarthy. So you just have to love what you see with Darnold this year on the Vikings. I mean, it's really incredible. So, and listen, do the Jets have an inside track to get this guy at the end of the season? Maybe they do. It is Darnold's original team. He might want to come back and finish what he started with this team and with this organization. I think the fans would give him a lot of love. I know I would definitely be psyched to see him come back. I mean, again, he has proven himself to be worthy of coming back to the team. And that's what he is showing the league now. So really, to me, the only question here is, would Darnold want to come back to the Jets? Now, that is a big question because I can't see how he wasn't completely scarred being on this team when he was here. So, the scars might be pretty steep. But, I don't think like a bridge was really burnt with him, leaving this team. It's not like he was completely hated and booed off the team. I think a lot of Jet fans realize, the reality of the situation, which was he had no team and no support when he was here. It was like he was set up to fail the minute he was drafted by this organization at that time. So it's like I said, it's almost like he was just meant to have that rough going with the Jets and then move on to just really find his way in this league and just get his footing. And the difference now is he is a mature, grown, progressed quarterback now, and he will be coming back to a team that is actually a team. It is a team that is light years ahead of the team he had when he was here at the time when he was here. So it's not like he would be looking at another disaster. I mean, the team is pretty well built right now with some young, promising talent. So I think the team would be actually attractive to him to come back to as a team just in general. And on top of that, like I said, maybe there's a part of him that would want to return to his original team. And I'm going to tell you another reason why I think the fan base would be pretty happy at this point if this guy came back to the team. This team needs a quarterback. And I think we're at a point where we can't just reset everything and hope we get something in the draft or, really, this team is in the market now for a legit starter. And this guy is it, in my opinion. He is going to be the most sought-after quarterback, free agent after this season is over. It's just ironic, though, that the team that originally drafted him might be putting in a pretty high bid to get him back. But I say, fuck it and do it. Go after this guy, and I mean go after this guy hard. Back the truck up and pay this guy the money. What would you pay him? I think you pay this guy like along the lines of what Mayfield got from Tampa. He got like a 3-year extension for like $100 million. I think you give Darnold the same money. They're both in like that same realm. It's weird. Like they both have like a similar path since they were both drafted. So he deserves the same money as Mayfield at this point. He's gonna deserve the same money. So you open the checkbook and you pay Darnold what he deserves at this point. And you bring him back to the team that originally drafted him and actually become what he was drafted to become to begin with, which is a franchise quarterback for the Jets. And that is what this team needs. It's not going to come through the draft at this point. I mean, listen, this team still needs to be thinking now. But instead of let's think now with a fucking 40-year-old quarterback, you think now with a quarterback who is still in his prime and can grow with this team for years to come. That is what I wanted this team to do 2 years ago, before this whole fucking Rodgers thing happened. I never wanted Rodgers to begin with because he's like a short-term rental. I wanted them to go after a quarterback, and at the time, it was Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield. And they just kind of pushed Carr aside and said, you're really not our first choice. So he was like, fuck you, I'm going to go to a team that wants me. And they didn't even, to my knowledge, call Baker Mayfield when he didn't even have a team at that time. Because they were just tunnel vision for Rodgers. And I just knew it was a fucking mistake to begin with. So here is a second chance to get a legitimate quarterback now, because Darnold has proven himself to be legit, I think, at this point. I don't think it's a one-season wonder here. I think this guy has grown and progressed into a solid, legitimate quarterback. Here is a second chance now for the Jets to do what they needed to do 2 years ago, and that is get a young quarterback still in his prime that could be on the team for years to come. He could grow with the team, and that is what this team needs now. So throw the chips in, throw the bank at this guy, and bring this guy back to the team. I can't think of a better move for this team at this point, at this juncture in time. So you tell me what you think. You tell me if it would be a good move to bring this guy back, or because in my opinion, there are no other fucking options at this point. There's really no other quarterback out there that I think is even on Darnold's level at this point that's going to be a free agent in his prime still. And like I said, he has shown that he has matured and grown as a quarterback. You don't take a team to 9-2 at this point in the season, and especially in their division. And it's just not a fluke, man. The guy is playing extremely well, and he is going to be a highly sought-after free agent at the end of this season. And he deserves it. And maybe we have an inside track to get this guy. So I say, bring him back. I'm actually digging this jersey right now. It's been a while since I wore this thing.